Of the Auto Trader British Touring Car Championship, find us at the Knockhill circuit in Scotland. It's a strange sort of scale-electric set of a track. The drivers absolutely relish it, but for Vauxhall's Ivan Muller and Jason Plato, well, they'll have mixed feelings about it, because on the one hand, well, rumour has it, team orders have been shelved and they'll get to race each other again. But on the other side, they're going to have to do the racing with a boot full of lead, success ballast. And I can tell you, with a circuit with this many hills on it, it is the last place you want to be hauling around any extra weight. All that ballast is the result of a great weekend for Vauxhall at Thruxton, but also a controversial one. Team orders decreeing that Jason Plato had to give up a certain feature race win in deference to Ivan Muller. But hey, the good news for us lot watching is that even though tactics may still play a part in the future, Vauxhall's drivers won't just be puppets on a string from now on.
Obviously Vauxhall and 888 Race Engineering want to win the British Touring Car Championship this year, and we have a team of 3 drivers all working together to do that. I think it's also fair to say that whilst we don't like talking about numbers 1, 2 and 3, that Ivan has been with us a long time now. It's our lead driver and he's deserved that position, and the others have agreed they will support him in every way. Having said that, I think perhaps in hindsight, if you look at the situation that there was at Thruxton, perhaps it wasn't the wisest decision we ever made, and that's not a criticism of anybody. You have to think quickly and think on your feet, and with the championship in view, that's what we did. But in hindsight, maybe it wasn't the best of moves. And for the future, well, you can't write down 250 scenarios and say, this is number 197, what do we do? Do we get so-and-so to give way? We'll just have to think on our feet and try and make a wise decision at the time.
Ford lead the drivers and manufacturers' points at the moment, and they're pretty clear on the old team orders issue.
The philosophy at Ford Team Mondeo is we let the drivers race openly. There's only one instruction we request, and that they don't take each other off.
Now that no contact stipulation has already been flaunted. The points leader Alain Menu seems comfortable with the rules as they stand.
Ford decided that that's what they want to do, then I would not complain, I guess. But I think it's too early. You know, come maybe for the second half of the season, if one of us 3 at Ford has got an advantage, then the other 2 should have. I think that's fair, but not from the beginning.
Okay, a quick recap on the ballast. Menus on 20, Reeds on 30, and top of the shop are Muller and Plato, 40 kilos each. So word has it that the team orders are on ice for the weekend. How does that affect your game plan?
It doesn't really affect us at all, because I'll continue to do even what I was doing at Thruxton, and that's drive as best as I can and get the maximum from the Vectra.
It'd be funny if you take each other off though, now that you haven't got team orders.
Even though we don't have, or the team orders have been relaxed a little bit for this weekend, we'd never be allowed to take each other off, and there's no desire to do that.
No. Have you ever thought this circuit is so hilly that if you took the hills away and flattened it out, how long it would be?
We'd probably be on pole. Yeah, I mean, this is a monster. This is the first time I've actually stood down here and had a look, and yeah, no wonder we're struggling a little bit today. It's a big, big old hill.
Yeah, it's lucky you got a pilot's license, really, because you actually change altitude here more than you go along straight.
Yeah, with the 40 kilos, I think this is probably going to be the worst circuit for anyone to carry any weight. I think there's a fair chance we'll be losing the success ballast after the weekend. I'm not predicting, certainly not predicting a win. So,
hairpins, hills and success ballast. They all equal a potentially difficult weekend. Let's have a look at qualifying. Bad news for Jason, I'm afraid. With only a 9th and a 10th on the grid, teammate Vincent Rademacher fared little better, taking 8th for the sprint. And Ivan Muller, well, despite taking it to the limit and well beyond, 7th and 8th was hardly sensational.
Very unusual.
Indy King Matt Neal took a pair of 5ths and kept it on the black stuff, unlike Anthony Reed.
I think we should have a look at that second lap. It did go off.
Reed's hairpin faux pas aside, it was quite a good day at the office for Ford. The Blue Oval steamrolled the sprint race grid, Alain Menu heading a 1-2-3, and Menu backed that up with a front row slot for the feature race. Okay, Vauxhall going through the championship like a yo-yo. Up the back of the field 1 minute, then pole position for Thruxton, now down the back of the field again. Well, I can deal with that, but Honda. the performance of Honda, have a look at this, it's weird.
BTCC new boy Tom Christensen had his strongest qualifying to date, while that old trooper Gabriele Tarquini took his first ever Knockhill pole in feature qualifying. But why the sudden Honda renaissance?
Very strange season because in every track there is one good car. We see that in Truxton I think Opel was faster than everybody, and in the previous in Donington I think Honda and especially Ford was the quickest car, and here is the turn of Honda. So I'm happy because I took my first pole position of the season.
And after his opening round shunt at Brands Hatch, a fully fit James Thompson was finally back and instantly competitive, taking third on the grid for the feature.
So, James Thompson's fit for the battle again. Well, that's great, but he's only got 5 points in the can, so he's hardly in the front line, is he? So what's the point? And more importantly, what's the plan from here?
My aim this year, get some good results for Honda, you know, show that the car is as competitive as we believe it is, you know, and mix it with them, and that's what I'm hoping to do, and we just see what happens after that. At the end of the day, we just charge hard and win some races.
Despite wanting to get out and prove a point ASAP, Thompson went with doctor's orders.
I enjoy driving, and it's not something that I think, oh God, I've got to go to work and drive. You know, I enjoy driving. I live for driving, so it doesn't make any difference to me. But you know, also the bigger picture is, at the end of the day, you've got a life to lead, and you know, there's no point coming back and being stupid about it. You know, you've got to listen to the people. They're the experts in their field, and if they don't feel that you're ready to come back drive, then there's nothing you can do about it, really. But it's nice to be back anyway. Just put it behind me and just get on with the job.
As we know, there are no team orders as such at Ford, but they have got one cardinal rule: do not knock each other off. Simple as that. Well, that rule is going to be tested to the max this afternoon, because look behind me, we've got 3 Fords, Menu, Rydell and Reed, in positions 1, 2 and 3, all jammed together, and on top of that, right ahead of us, Duffus Dip, by any measure, the most challenging first corner in British touring car racing. Now, I actually don't remember a time when the cars have all got through Duffus cleanly on the opening lap. Always a little bit of contact. Now, the Fords are going to come under some pretty big pressure this afternoon as well, because on the second row of the grid in the Honda is Gabriele Tarquini. Now, Gabriele is really, really hot this weekend. He's actually the pole man for the feature race this afternoon, so he's got a lot at stake, needs to keep these opening Fords under real pressure. And Waddy, have a look. Who's up with him? Matt Neal, the lead independent in the Nissan. Really good qualifier for him. He absolutely needs to bank it.
Thanks, Charlie. Well, we've got that Ford 1, 2, 3 on the grid for 20 laps of this 1.3-mile Knockhill circuit. Good to see Gabriele Tarquini on the second row. That's his best Honda performance so far this year. And another personal best, Matt Neal, back on form in the third row, alongside a very welcome returnee, James Thompson, in the second Honda. The Vauxhalls all carrying 40 kilograms in the fourth row, and row 5's independent Colin Blair and Class B runner Mark Lemmer. Christensen, Rademacher and Morrison had technical infringements, and Kay is in an Integra R, his Accord blew out.
Revs are up, ready for a start. Menu on the left-hand side of your screen, Rydell on the right, Reed through the middle. They're off and racing, everyone away cleanly. Rydell off like a rocket, side by side down the hill. Rydell on the right, Menu on the left, and Rydell is through from position 2. Down into Duffus Dip, he slid through. That's Tarquini. Gabriele Tarquini, and the Honda is off into the right-hander. Tarquini is still off. That accident has been happening all the way down the hill. Finally come to a rest. Everybody else pretty much smoothly through that. Rydell still in the lead. Fantastic start from him. There's Matt Neal right behind the DreamWorks Fords. That's Anthony Reed dead ahead of him. Bit of damage on the back of Reed's car. I don't know if that's related to the Tarquini incident. Down the back straight for the first time and into the hairpin. Reed, Neal, Rydell and Menu have already opened up a little bit of a gap. Rydell still holding that lead. On board with him now. What a cracker of a start.
Well, I haven't seen as good a start from Ricard Rydell in a very long time, but the safety car's back out to remove Tarquini's car from the circuit.
Yeah, he stopped right at the bottom of the hill, which is a problem. Now, here's another look at the start. We're on board with Tarquini.
And just look, Rydell on the left of the screen, he gets traction. Menu hesitates momentarily, enough for Rydell to jump into the lead as they dive down into Duffus.
Now, Tarquini goes straight ahead, and that was Anthony Reid.
Yeah, contact left rear on the Ford, right front on the Honda. Tarquini, unfortunately, goes off track, tries to get back on, finds himself back in the gravel.
A very long accident for him, unfolding all the way down the hill. Now here's our restart, getting ready. And did you hear that? Menu actually had to lift a little bit. He was trying to get a flying rolling start on Rydell, got a little bit too close and had to lift just at the wrong moment. They're away again, and it's Rydell in the lead. Menu trying to catch up. Reid right behind him. A little bit of movement back in the midfield there. One of the Vauxhalls trying to slide around. That was Muller having a look around the outside, kicking up the dust everywhere. Busy as you like. Back on board with Menu. On the boot lid of Rydell. It's such a chicane. What a ridiculous corner. These cars get launched across the top of that. Ford and Ford. Rydell first. Through Park and onto the back straight. Railway straight, kicking up the dust, really coming under some pressure. Remember, their tyres did not get up to full temperature. They are flying once again. Down into the hairpin. This is a braking opportunity. Can they make it stick? No, Rydell is just too far ahead of Menu to make that work. Streaming through one after the other and back up the hill, and what a climb.
And it's not insignificant that it's light is first, heaviest is third place. That's the way the ballasts are worked out this weekend. The very twisty and hilly Knockhill.
James Thompson having a look down the inside of Van Muller as we go down into Duffers Dip. Can't find a way past. Muller, meantime, is really pressuring Matt Neal in the Nissan. And this guy, Alain Menu, is pressuring Ricard Rydell, also in a Ford. Pair of Fords right at the front. Rydell really loses a little bit of ground to Menu as he goes over that chicane. And he's trying to line him up.
He's trying to line him up, but what he's also doing is trying to distract Rydell. Look, running wide.
That's Van Muller having lots of fun with James Thompson, and that's Jason Plato sliding through as well. Muller got a bit of a tank slapper up there through Clark. Thompson is through now. It's side by side. Plato on the inside, Muller on the outside. This is the view of Tom Christensen, and he is examining very closely the build quality. Look at the quality he thinks to himself on the back of Rademacher's Vauxhall as they all compress down into the hairpin and then climb up the hill and over the other side again. It's as busy as you like, right in the midfield. There's Christensen. Just saw the white flash on the top of his Honda, darts to the left to try to pick up a spot. Meantime, at the front, it's 3 Fords, then Neal, Thompson, and Muller. That's our top 6, but that's only at the moment. This is down through the bottom of the hill. There's Plato. Muller held him off.
Yeah, I mean, I had a good start. I overtook Reid from outside. He just pushed me off sideways. So I don't know if he was pushed by somebody else on the back, but a little damage. The car don't have any big damage. It's just to replace the front right suspension and try again.
Tarquini and Reid touched twice in Duffers, but inevitably the car on the outside is the one that's going to come off the worst. And this time Tarquini had to accept that, you know, if you can't get round, you're going to have to concede.
And he did accept as well. Remarkably pragmatic driver, the old Gabrielli. This isn't pragmatic though. This is Tom Christensen climbing all over the boot lid of Jason Plato's Vauxhall. He's worked his way past Rademacher, as you can see. That's Plato in the second Vauxhall. Now there he is, just to the right of us, on board with Christensen. Oh, he's getting car sick, coming down into Duffers. Trying to find a way past. That's where Tarquini went off in the Honda a lap ago. Now Christensen coming under pressure again from Rademacher in the third of the Vauxhalls. He's actually slipped back a little bit from Plato, I guess, concentrating on the back of Plato's car, and then he loses sight of the guy behind him.
It's so difficult to run this close around a circuit that is so tight. And of course there's also a factor of weight. Christensen running lighter than the Vauxhall ahead of him, that's Plato.
Well, he needs to get the gas on again and catch up to Plato and shake off Christensen. Try to make that pass stick. There is Jason Plato coming down into the hairpin. Very tight and getting the power on for that big climb up the hill.
And this is really where Christensen should get the job done. He's got an advantage of 40 kilograms. He should be able to pull out, accelerate past Plato, but he ain't getting it done.
Yeah, he's looking like he's trying to, Waddy. He's pulling to the left, thinking he's going to get it past. On board now with James Thompson in the lead Honda. Here at the front, ahead of us is Matt Neal, the lead independent, and he is in 4th place outright. 3 Works Fords ahead of him. He's holding up James Thompson. A much better performance from Matt.
Well, they did a bit of work here on Friday. They tried some different shock absorbers, and it's certainly paying dividends. But really, can you imagine being the factory Honda driver behind an independent Nissan? There's got to be a red mist coming on very soon.
Well, it's a red car, and he is trying to hold up that Honda. but he's coming under some big pressure. Now James Thompson has a little bit of a feint to the left into the hairpin, then moves wide, trying to get a better run out of that corner. Class B runners, Morrison and Lemmer, they've been all over each other so far this race. Morrison really bringing Lemmer under some big pressure. On board with Mark now.
And these two cars seem much closer than we've seen so far this season. Lemmer in the Integra R, only 1800cc. Morrison in the Peugeot GTI, 2000cc.
A lot more poke, I think, in that Peugeot, but Lemmer's car seems to be doing better in the handling division.
And also Mark Lemmer seems to be making better use of this Knockhill circuit than Alan Morrison's doing in the Peugeot.
Well, this is interesting. Side by side around the hairpin. That's not supposed to work. Side by side back up the hill again. Now, let's have a look at the horsepower differential. Mark Lemmer in the Honda on the left, Morrison in the Peugeot on the right, and there's the view from Mark Lemmer's car.
Yeah, it's pretty clear. That extra 200cc makes a big difference climbing up the hill. And as they come under brakes, should be no problem for Morrison.
Look at Lemmer now, really starting to gather him up into the right-hander. Lemmer stuck it back through again. Unbelievable. He hasn't made it stick. Morrison runs wide, and Mark Lemmer takes the spot back.
Well, it looks rather strange. It's as if Morrison thought, I passed Lemmer, he's not going to pass me again. Well, he got that one round.
Nice bit of driving from Mark Lemmer. Now, James Thompson is going to try the same trick, but Matt Neal is wise to it. James Thompson is going to help Matt Neal through the clouds of dust down there. Everybody's hop, skipping and jumping all over the place. Thompson on the boot lid, trying to get a big run down the back straight. There's a kink coming up here. Running a bit wide, Matt Neal.
Well, Neal, of course, under a lot of pressure from Thompson, but it looks to me as if Matt Neal is not as consistent lap on lap as James Thompson, who's giving him all that pressure, is.
Now, back into the hairpin, same maneuver as before. James running deeper on the brakes to the left-hand side of Neal's car. Neal holds a more defensive line. Thompson moves to the inside of the track. Matt Neal moves to cover. There's not a Honda width between Matt Neal and the edge of the circuit, so Thompson moves to the other side as we're getting down in its upper skip. This is that first corner we were talking about after the start line. That's where Tarquini went off. This is where Thompson is putting Matt Neal under maximum pressure.
And there again you can see in McIntyre, Matt Neal not getting the front of that Nissan right over the curb. He's losing tenths of seconds to Thompson all the time.
Got it over the curb there, all right. Matt Neal putting all four wheels across the curb as they went across the chicane, but once again, James Thompson starting to reel him in through Clark. Thompson runs a little bit wider there, but seems to have carried a bit more speed on the exit. Down the back straight, the railway straight. Here's the view. On board for James Thompson. Looks down the inside. Into the hairpin, gives him a touch. Push, push, kissy face. Matt Neal hangs onto it. That's as close as you want.
Yeah, you couldn't do much more than that, but at least Matt Neal had the advantage as they came into the hairpin bend, denied James Thompson the chance to stick the nose up the inside of the Nissan and take that position away.
Now look at this, Waddy, there may be trouble ahead. Here we've got two Class B cars, and this entire rock is descending upon them. Down through upper step into McIntyre. Matt Neal slithers through. James Thompson slithers through. No tears so far, but that's very close.
Well, Morrison really just pulled right off to the left-hand side of the track as that six cars go through and lost contact completely with Lemmer. That battle for Class B victory.
Poor old Mark Lemmer, his eyes on springs as everybody slides through. Matt Neal's clear. Now James Thompson lurches to the left. Then there's Van Muller and Tom Christensen in the Vauxhall and the Honda, respectively. Now we're on board with Tom Christensen. That's Muller ahead of us, sliding down into the chicane. Bit of a wet and dry rub down, side by side, swapping paint and panels. Lucky most of the cars are red and white. Back up the hill, Christensen through. He is. He's going to make this one stick side by side, but he's got the legs.
Yeah, he did a very, very good job, not just going into the hairpin bend, but getting the power down and took that place away. Look at Muller. He's furious. He's lost a place.
Never rains, but it pours. Just picked up a spot. Problems now, Sunshine. You've got three marauding Vauxhalls behind you. This has got to give sooner or later this Thompson-Neal battle. They are so close together. Now Christensen, with the Vauxhalls behind him, can get up and join. Matt Neal, then James Thompson in the very hyperactive Honda, and the second Honda is Tom Christensen, who's really up there in this battle for really fourth place. back up the hill. Neil's car's got plenty of squirt. Muller's thinking to himself, and played, he said, listen, I don't need lap boards, guys. I can see where they all are. They keep running into me. Down the hill again into Duffers.
Matt Neil clearly has got the speed where it counts at Knockhill. That's on the straight bits. He loses out down through the twiddly bits, but he holds up the rest of the field. They can't get the run or build up the initiative.
Morrison in. This is not scheduled. No pit stops in this race. Bad luck problems for him. The attitude of Matt Neil's car across the top of that chicane, it looks as though it's going to roll onto its shoulder, doesn't it?
And look, he pulls right over to the centre of the track, compromises his line through these corners, again holds up the pack, but has got the speed down into the half and bend. No one's going to get past him this lap.
The yo-yo, isn't it? Starts to pull out a gap and gives it up again down into the hairpin. This is getting closer. That was the biggest lunge that James Thompson has had so far. And now James Thompson looks as though he's going to have to start dealing with his teammates. Meantime, that looks like all over for Morrison.
Yeah, I mean, you can just smell when something goes wrong in a racing car.
Don't know whether he'll be rejoining. Matt Neil has got a real procession behind him now. He's like a caravan tower in the fast lane. Not making himself popular, but doing a fabulous job of defensive driving. Defensive line, then moves to the outside to try to cover. He really is losing himself some time doing that.
He realizes that the points on the track where he's got to be defensive are at the end of the straight and coming down here into the half and bend. The rest of the track he can pretty much handle.
What a great scrap. Now Christensen's got his lights on, so he's obviously getting a head of steam up as well. Nice tight line there from Matt, in through the hairpin, bit defensive, but covers it off well, moves to the right-hand side of the track as we haul back up the hill to make sure no one tries to slither past in there. Plenty of power in that Nissan.
Well, I think the power is the result of getting the car handling a lot better. You can use the power you have, but more often.
Now, Rydell, Menu and Reed, the Ford drivers, are still leading this race up the front. Neil, Thompson and Christensen, 4, 5 and 6. You don't need us to tell you that. You can see it. They are that close together. Muller, Plato and Rademacher forming up the rest of this incredibly close battle. Race long, all jammed in behind Matt Neil. Now, Morrison, well, he's going to have another run.
Yeah, it's good to send the car out just to ensure that by the time we get to the feature race later this afternoon, everything is back to normal.
Now, here he is out of the pit. He's actually driving as though he's trying to find a place to park.
I think the problem is that they haven't solved the problem.
Yeah, bad luck for Morrison because he was leading and looking to pick up valuable Class B points. James Thompson is looking, meantime, to valuably pick up a place if he possibly can. He needs to get past Matt Neil to try to... Now, look, Morrison, very focusing moment for him. As I was saying, Thompson needs to get past Matt Neil to try to have a run at those Fords. That's the lead one there, Rydell, but it's all going to be too late because they are on the last lap. Ricard Rydell in the lead, Menu still right behind him. And Anthony Reid in touch as well. But for Rydell, this has just been copybook stuff as he takes his last one.
And this race was one at the start. Rydell did a great job. A win I thought might have come sooner this season.
Well done, Ricard. Ford's team moved to congratulate him, and congratulations to Ford as well. Their second 1, 2, 3 of the season. This battle hasn't ended now. That's Christensen, that's Thompson, and that's his teammate Christensen. They're side by side. Matt Neil's ahead of us, heading up to the start-finish line. And Thompson has lost the place. Christensen, his teammate, hits him at the post on the last corner.
Well, Thompson wouldn't certainly say that was team orders, but Christensen is the #1 son in Honda right now.
What a race. Fabulous result for Ford, Rydell, Menu and Reed. There is the confirmation. They did so well, we didn't see much of them. Matt Neil in 4th place, holding off a race-long challenge from James Thompson in the Honda, only to be pipped at the post by his teammate Tom Christensen, who gets up onto the top 5 leaderboard. There's James in 6th position. Great drive, mate. Muller 7th, Plato 8th, Rademacher 9th, formation finish for them, and Blair running well in the top 10. So, Rydell sprays the champagne from the top step for the first time as a Ford man, and all down to that start.
Yeah, I got away really good off the line. There's a little bit less grip here at Knockhill, and I don't know what happened to Alan, but it was just enough to get from behind him to just in front of him. And after that, it was really just controlling where Alan was all the time. I was pushing quite hard, of course, and when we passed a couple of the Class B cars, we caught up once or twice, so it was a little bit close, but after that, no problem.
Obviously, today was Donington Park in reverse, and Ricard had a very good start. Mine was okay, but I got a little bit of wheel spin. So he got into the first corner first, and then that was that. I mean, we've got the same car, I've got 20 kilos more than he does, so exiting all the corners, he was pulling away a bit. So really, there was only once when we overtook a Class B car where I just showed my nose going into the airplane, but really I was not in a position to really ever go. I mean, he's my teammate after all, so I had to be a bit careful.
And what about that Class B scrap?
It's a shame that the Accord has had problems this weekend because it would have been very strong, but we knew that the Peugeot would be good. It's good out the hairpin, it's good up the hill. And I was confident of getting ahead, getting a good start, which we did. The safety car cancelled that out a little bit, but when things settled down, it meant I was going to have to dig in and defend and had to use everything I knew to keep him behind.
For Honda's Gabriele Tarquini, this is a case of trying to win the race, take two. Remember in the first race, he got caught out by the dreaded first corner duffer skip and also caught out by a little bit of Anthony Reid's rear bumper as well. Well, this time he's in an ideal position because he's on pole. Now, all he's got to do is make pole position stick. Now, talking of making things stick, it is an absolutely glorious day here today. The sun's out, the crowds are out in force, and they are just loving the conditions. But Waddy, I don't know whether the tyres are going to love the conditions because it's hot as Texas out here. And remember, this is the 40 lap of the long race, and they're not even planning to pit.
Left front tyre is going to be the bogey tyre, but for Tarquini on pole position, he should have the easiest job of the afternoon. Alongside him, Alain Menu in the first of the Fords. And on row 2, we see James Thompson, along with teammate, I'll say it again, teammate Tom Christensen. Independent Matt Neal on row 3 and Rickard Rydell alongside. And again, 2 Vauxhalls, this time Muller and Rademacher. Reid's back on row 5 with Jason Plato. Independent Colin Blair and Class B leader Morrison on row 6. Lemmer and Kay make up row 7 in their Integra R Hondas.
Revs are up again. Tarquini in pole position. Away well. There's Menu right alongside him. So look at Rydell, jumps off the line. I don't know what he's on today. Another flying start from Rydell, but further down the pack. Tarquini holds onto the lead. Menu is really looking closely at him. And Rydell side by side with the second of the Hondas. On board with Christensen now. There is Rydell. He's just slithered past us and held onto that spot, one after the other, kicking up the dust. But it's Tarquini held onto the lead. Honda, Ford, and Honda. Tarquini, Menu, then it's Thompson, then Rydell, and Christensen right in behind them. Thompson, I think, just running a little bit wide there over Clark as they go down the back straight for the first time. There's Rydell. He made an absolute blinder of a start from midfield. Matt Neal facing to the inside, seeing if he can pick up a place. There's Muller moving onto the back of Neal's car. Trying to pick up some spots. Anthony Reid further back in the pack, and there's Colin Blair. He's pretty much in touch with people this weekend, up and over the strike for the first time, and it's still Tarquini in the lead. Plenty of pace. There's Tom Christensen darting around, seeing if he can pick up position, and Plato's off.
And that's down at the hairpin bend. Jason Plato has rather driven off or has been punted off. And there you can see the damage in the left rear corner, of course. No donuts from a front-wheel drive touring car.
Incredibly difficult to turn around. They've got a turning circle about 3 postcodes long, actually. He'll be backing and filling for half a lap trying to get that thing facing the right way. Meantime, Tarquini's car is still facing the right way. And I reckon he's opening up a little bit of a gap. Here's Rydell in 4th place. Now ahead of us is James Thompson. Hanging all the way down through those gears. Honda, Ford, Honda, and then Matt Neal in 6th position, the lead independent. And look, Tom Christensen starting to move up really quite close to Rydell. Christensen on the left-hand side of your screen, darting around. He's really on a charge this weekend.
Well, certainly he did a great job in the sprint race. But further down the grid for this feature race, of course, the trouble is getting past.
Now here are these 2 boys again, Lemmer and Morrison, and once again, Morrison straight ahead on power up the hill.
Yes, he knows, but this time he uses the car and the track to his advantage. He doesn't offer Lemmer the opportunity to run down the inside because he's on the inside of the track.
Mark Lemmer fighting back though. This ain't over yet. Oh, that was very close. Squirming as they go up and over the chicane. There's James Kay in the 3rd of the Class B cars. Now we're on board with Anthony Reid in P9. We're heading down the back straight towards the hairpin. Big lunge under brakes. Huge pass.
Very, very good pass. Well thought out, even better executed, and just seemed to catch the field napping.
Very strong stuff from Anthony Reid. Back at the leaders. Tarquini, Menu, and Thompson. We can see that. Now there's Christensen. He's really on jumping beams this weekend. His car moving left and right, trying to pick up position the whole time as he goes up and over the hill and down into Duffers. There's Rydell. Great start from him. Picked up position. That helped a lot, and he's still very much in touch with this lead group. 4th place. On board with Rydell now. Thompson up ahead. that right-hander.
Yeah, Clark is very important because it leads on to the second quickest part of the track. That's where we saw Reed dive down the inside, but very difficult to do. You've got to have an advantage. Let's watch Reed this time.
Unbelievable stuff. Deja vu. Great stuff from Anthony Reed. Slides down there like a greased piglet, straight past yet another Vauxhall.
Well, he makes it look so easy. Nobody's been passing here all afternoon. Suddenly Reed pulls it out of the bag twice.
Very forceful. Brilliant to watch. And there is the man coming over the crest of the hill with a pair of Vauxhalls now behind him. They're the boys that he's surprised. And remember, Jason Plato is way off in the distance having those problems on the opening lap. It has annoyed Van Muller. He is using curves and curves more, trying to catch up that spot again.
It's the counter track Van Muller thrives on. Drive off the track more than you're on it and keep the car pointing in some kind of direction, preferably forward.
Yeah, it's only sort of an approximation with all the black stuff, isn't it? But he's loosely heading in the right direction. And ahead of us is Anthony Reed, who's trying to now come onto terms with Matt Neal, the lead independent. Very close in these opening laps. There is Anthony Reed, just not close enough for Matt Neal to try that manoeuvre again.
No, it seemed too easy to me to get past Muller and Plato. Matt Neal, that little bit of extra speed at that part of track, maybe going to make it a bit more difficult now for Anthony Reed.
On board with Reedy. Very physical track.
Again, look, Reed runs wide, comes through McIntyre. That's the pressure on that left front tyre. You work it too hard early in the race, you can tire the tyre out.
Big right-hander coming up here. And the track really just comes up at you, doesn't it?
Most of the apexes you don't see, so you aim the car, and you hope that when you hit the curb, the launch that you get off it gets you back on track.
Now Tarquini, here he is back at the front. Looks as though he's controlling the pace pretty comfortably.
Tarquini really is in control. There's no real pressure from Menu. Menu's sitting there watching Tarquini, but it's really Tarquini's race at this time, at a racetrack which has become the bogey circuit for Tarquini. So let's hope it stays the right way up this afternoon.
Had a huge accident, Tarquini, in an Alfa Romeo a few years ago here. One of the most spectacular crashes in touring cars. Every time they go over the top of that chicane, it feels like a crash. The car absolutely launching. They're riding with Menu. There is Tarquini, the leader, ahead of us. Now, Menu's got to make sure he doesn't overcook it too early, hasn't he?
And he looks like he's very comfortable in this position. He's not putting pressure onto Tarquini at the minute. Remember, no pit stops in this race, so he's got to conserve his tyres to give him the chance that towards the end, when he wants to launch an attack, he will be in good shape for so.
40 laps this race. Now, he is carrying weight, but the Ford doesn't look too shabby going back up that hill.
Ford is such an improved car this year. Big improvement in engine performance and in chassis performance. And Menu, the fittest driver out there by a country mile.
Tarquini will be very pleased that he's actually driving around, remember, off in the first lap, right at that last set of corners we were looking at only a lap ago. This is Jason Plato, working his way back up through the field, just passing Mark Lemmet. Now, here's what happened to Jason Plato.
Well, very clearly, that is Colin Blair. Hits the back of Jason Plato, so I think Mr. Blair will not have to count on Mr. Plato's votes in the future.
Colin Blair, the independent new to racing this year, making new friends. Here's a view from Jason's car. And the dust and the bog that followed. Bad luck for Jason Plato, a bit unfortunate for Colin Blair as well. This is his local circuit, he's a Scot, and his lap times are much improved here. He's very much in touch with the works leaders, but a little bit too much in touch at that moment.
And really, that's the penalty Jason Plato played for having such a lowly grid position. You've got to deal with the back markers, and this time it didn't.
Tom Christians is dealing with the back of Rydell's Ford. Rydell is right beside us. Oh, dear me, right beside us, right in front of us as we go down into Dublin. Talk about a ringside seat. The back of Rydell's car moving from one side to the other. Christensen really bringing on the pressure.
It's hard to imagine that only a few hours ago Rickard Rydell won very comfortably the sprint race. Now under extreme pressure from Christensen.
As you say, Waddy, it's all to do with where you start. Rydell did not start from the front row. It's a very difficult circuit to pass.
Going past some of the back markers now, making the run down into the hairpin bend. If Christensen hopes to do something, it'll have to be down here.
Here's our man of the moment at the front, Tarquini, just sliding down the inside of Mark Lemmer into the hairpin. Mark moving aside to give plenty of room for him, then moving to the right-hand side of the track, back up the hill. I think that actually favoured Tarquini a little bit. Menu seems to have dropped back. Now let's have another go at this. On board with Christensen. Rydell's to our right. We can just see his shadow. We've got a really nasty right-hand turn here called Duffer's Dip. Where are you, Ricard? Where are you? Oh, there you are. Just holds us off once again. Close as you like. There's not a bag paper between.
Christensen clearly capable of lapping quicker than Ricard Rydell in this race, but just can't get track position to get the job done.
Queenie up inside Morrison and Clark. Morrison moving wide just to let him through. Kicks up a bit of dust in the process. Doing a very good job, the Class B runners. Very much in a pitched battle of their own for points. Their championship is extremely close. We've got to watch these guys coming through. All working well. Now these three have really started to open up a gap on the rest of the field. As you can see, that was Rydell just coming around the hairpin as we look at Tarquini, then Menu, then Thompson, clearly ahead of the field. So James will be powerfully motivated in this race because he was none too pleased after race one when Christensen got past him.
I think James maybe spat the dummy and the rattle and everything else, and to have his teammate leading and Thompson back in third place with a Ford in between, not a good day for James's return.
Fuel pressure problem, I've hit ST2. Did you understand any of that? The fuel pressure, P2, pump 2.
Well, it never rains, but it pours. James Thompson reporting back to his pit crew that he's got a fuel pressure problem.
Well, that's just compounding his aggravation this afternoon. It sometimes is called paranoia.
Well, frustrating though it might be, James Thompson is having a very strong return. He's been off sick, as we know, and he did qualify in third place for this race, and he's still very much in touch with this man. Alain Menu is in second position, and sort of moving into the distance a little bit now as this man, Tarquini, in third. Thompson looks as though he's lining him up, and talking about lining him up, here's jumping beans himself. Christensen really trying to get past Ricard Rydell. He's had too much sleep, Christensen, hasn't he? He's really alive.
He's got that Honda dancing around all over the racetrack. Ricard Rydell, the phlegmatic Swede, nothing really seems to get into his head, except that he can see ahead of him.
Well, on board now with Christensen ahead of us, our dance partner Rydell. Little sachet out through the back of the circuit. Christensen's tight, but so is Rydell. No one runs wide there. Ricard Rydell, an extremely neat driver.
He reminds me of a Labrador. Takes a lot of Rylan, but when you do, he'll go ballistic.
You're only saying that because he used to drive a Volvo. Okay, Rydell holds the inside line. Christensen runs to the outside, now the inside. Now Rydell moves back across the left-hand side of the track. Side by side, I reckon Christensen's got a good run out of that corner. Over the strike. Rydell on their left, Christensen, he's made it stick. Great stuff.
Good job. Great overtaking by the Dane. Down the inside, takes the plate away from Ricard Rydell.
Now Matt Neal's got a similar problem that Rydell had, and he's got the problem with Reed, Rydell's teammate. Just slides through on the inside. If Reed slides through, Muller barges through, just trying to bludgeon his way past Matt Neal.
Matt Neal just shut the door again, Muller had to back out of it. I mean, what fantastic racing here.
Matt Neal's had lots of contact from lots of people from behind today, and he's held onto it every single time. Won't be a single straight panel left on that Nissan. Now back on board with James Thompson, and he's starting to get in touch with Menu.
Starts to look like Menu's beginning to struggle as he comes out of the hairpin bend. Watch Thompson. Can he pick up the slipstream? Can he get the draft? Can he dive down the inside into Duffers?
Well, he's having a little bit of a feint. Looks to the inside, just not quite close enough. Jimmy T on a charge. Menu well defending. Using all of the curbs. James Thompson looks set to attack. Now here's the Matt and Muller show again. Matt Neal ahead of us on board with Van Muller, and Neal's wide, he's through.
I think Matt might have just locked up a front brake. That's one Vauxhall through, the other one right on the tail, and trying to do the same thing.
Matt Neal under big pressure now. One eye on the guy that's just passed him, another on his rear vision mirror, and you can see he's driving defensively. Matt Neal is on the inside of the circuit because he knows Rademacher is right on his boot limb, trying to work a way past. Matt moving to the right-hand side of the track again to stop Rademacher getting down the inside and passing him. Having half a look back at Muller's car. Down through the gears, getting in close. Looks quite sprightly out of the corner, but Rademacher in the red Vauxhall there with his headlights ablaze is very much in touch and on a charge.
So the Nissan all day he's been quick in the two important parts of the racetrack, and here we are at one of those two.
Down into Duffus. Now here is where Matt Neal ran wide a lap ago. Not this time, he's in tight, but Rademacher's in tighter. Trying to throw a tow rope onto the back of Matt Neal's car and get past. He can see that Matt Neal's struggling and wants to keep up with his teammate because Rademacher was right with Muller right up to that moment.
Yeah, and Muller can just pull away ever so easily from Matt Neal. Rademacher now faced with a problem that was really offered up as a freebie to Muller.
And we just saw in the background there, Blair in the white Nissan, the Independent. He's still pretty much in touch with these works cars, having a good day in spite of his new acquaintanceship with Jason Plato in the opening lap. Right there, actually, into that hairpin. You just saw Blair coming around it now. That's where he gave Plato a nudge at the start of this race. Now, putting this scrap into context, there's Anthony Reid. He's in P6, Muller P7, Neal P8, Rademacher P9, and they are as close as that. You can see them. Back down the hill, Colin Blair P10. Now, Rademacher still really putting Matt Neal under a lot of pressure.
Well, Matt Neal was able to run a lot quicker in race 1, but not in race 2.
Hey, that's Christensen. Big trouble for him. That was Anthony Reid just passing him.
Open drive shaft coming in.
Hey, Tom. Full speed. Drive shaft. Coming in. When a drive shaft goes, that's the end of your day. A fine fifth in the sprint race, nothing in the feature.
Limping back to the pits. He's got to get round this hairpin. He does okay. Indicator on, so he's got to pull into the pit lane, which is halfway up the hill. He was doing so extremely well, marching through the field. I guess the circuit is pretty tough on suspension and drive shafts in these cars, though.
Well, the amount of turns, and particularly when the cars are flying through the air, the drive shafts go through all kinds of angles, so it's an area in a car you have to be very careful. Well, they're just taking the wheels off. They know what the problem is, but they want to make sure and confirm what they suspect. Yeah, there's the signal all over for Christensen. What a disappointment here in the feature race.
Yeah, hard luck, Tom, but we have two Hondas still in the top three. James Thompson in P3, and remember Gabriele Tarquini, you can just see him up in the distance. He is leading, so Honda is still having a very strong day.
Important thing for Menu is he doesn't actually need to win here in this race this afternoon. He's into points gathering. He can beat Tarquini in speed, but he wants to take 12 points for second place.
On board with the leader now, this is Tarquini. That's Mark Lemmer ahead of us, coming down into Duffus Dip. Well, excuse me. Tarquini deciding to pass Mark Lemmer through the front right door.
Well, that message was sent loud and clear to Mark Lemmer. And he lets Menu through without any difficulties whatsoever now.
Yeah, no wonder. Menu and James Thompson both getting through past Mark Lemmer, the Class B runner. Now here's our first, second and third place cars. There's Tarquini. Menu is right behind them, and Thompson still with them. 1, 2, 3, that close, this far into the race, but Menu's going to have to do something soon.
Well, I thought Menu was maybe going to try and save the car to have a last lap or a last run at Tarquini, but Tarquini's car, to me, looks the better of the two. Menu is beginning to struggle that little bit, particularly here on the exit up onto the fastest part of the circuit.
Yeah, Tarquini looks as though he's taking it pretty easy, doesn't he? He's not using the curves. P1, we know that. He's running a pretty conservative line, not being defensive, can put the car pretty much where he wants.
And the thing is, he's not putting too much energy into those tires.
Rickard was very good at the start and obviously passed me, but I decided it was a long race to be very, very careful to the car. And when I had to push hard just to pass him, but I was just basically cruising until I passed him, until I used the 3 laps passing him, and then after I was really just driving really carefully, and I was closing on the front because I knew it was going to be a long race, and I knew it was going to be very, very, very good at the end, but unfortunately the right-hand side, the drive shaft failed, which is quite unusual on the Honda, so it's pretty disappointing, but at fast lap of the race it gives absolutely no points, but it gives a little bit of confidence.
Yeah, he should be well encouraged for that. Thanks for the entertainment, Tom. It's a great afternoon. Now this is still pretty entertaining, Waddy. James Thompson is now starting to give Alain Menu a workover. Maybe his lunge is coming too late for Menu.
Yeah, so you can see Thompson looking a lot more threatening than he's done at any point so far in the race, and Tarquini really out of contact now with Menu.
Yeah, Menu is driving defensively. He's now having to do a covering line, so chance of him actually getting up and having a push seem to be fading. Menu looking like he's struggling a little bit there.
Yeah, runs wide on the exit exit of McIntyre and having to deal with a very, very focused James Thompson.
James Thompson and a very loose Alain Menu with cars sliding all over the place now. Look at that turn into Clark Corner. Car looks very lively.
Yeah, there's a little bit of oversteer. Menu really, I think, trying to compensate for what's going wrong with his left front, trying to put all the weight of the car on the rear wheel to help the car turn in.
Now you can see that plus 20 on the windscreen of Alain Menu's car. That's telling us, reminding us, he's carrying 20 kilos of success ballast. There's no such sign on this man's car, James Thompson. He's just returning to this championship, so he is ballast-free. That gives him a real advantage.
Well, Christensen was able to do the job on Rydell on this part of track. Thompson's got to do the same very shortly.
Goes down into McIntyre's puff of smoke from Menu. He's run wide. Run terribly wide, and James Thompson has slipped through.
Yeah, locked up the left front, turning into McIntyre's. He didn't need a second invitation, he just dived through.
Well, we could see he was struggling. Looked as though he was slowing. Matt Neal, he's been struggling a bit for grip too by the looks, but this battle with Rademacher is still going on. And that is where Rademacher gets so close, lap after lap down the bottom of the hill. On board with Matt now. Very agricultural approach through there. He's having to use all the curves, launching the car, trying to keep Rademacher at bay.
And it looks to me like Matt's reinventing the line around this Knockhill circuit. I've never seen anybody use these ones.
Very, very wide over the top of Clark Corner. Struggling for grip. Rademacher looks as though he's having the better of the grip. This is down into the hairpin, a passing opportunity. Rademacher runs a little bit deeper. We'll see if he can improve his exit back up the hill using all of the curves. We'll try to get past him. That's the car off. That's a Ford. That's Menu. Alain Menu is off. There's been a little bit of contact. The bonnet's damaged. He's okay trying to snowplow his way out of the kitty litter.
I'm stuck. That's it. I'm getting out.
Stuck indeed.
Yeah, went into the gravel fairly heavily, damaged the front of the car, but principally the car just buried itself and Menu's day's over.
Well, you have to say the clues for that happening were there.
But I didn't expect to see Menu just throw it away like that. He doesn't give up places that easily, and remember, he's in the battle for this year's championship.
Well, we knew grip was going to be an issue here. Here's our race leader, Honda, Tarquini, second place man James Thompson. There's the Class B leader Alan Morrison. But we knew grip was going to be an issue here because this is a 40-lap race and they are not doing pit stops in the feature race here today.
And what's interesting is that the Honda's looked after its front tyres extremely well, and Ford have been struggling with their fronts.
Big sigh of relief being breathed by Tarquini now. The man that was his challenger has fallen away. The big question now is, can James Thompson on his comeback race do anything about Tarquini, reel him in and catch him?
Well, certainly he's going to try his hardest, because he'll want to be the man that stands on the winner's podium this afternoon, and what a great return it would be.
Well, he'll have to get his skates on, because Gabriele Tarquini, with his lights ablaze, is coming up to the hill for the last time. Only one more lap left if James is going to be able to reel him in. Looks like too big a gap.
Yes, it is, but nonetheless, Thompson will still push. You never know what happens. You could beat a slow car. Tarquini might be overly cautious. Thompson's got to push.
Well, as we can see there, bad day for Menu as well, but we still have a pair of Fords, Rydell and Reed, in third and fourth place. And the independent runner, Matt Neal, is inside the top six, and the guy just outside of it is all over his boot lid once again. Rademacher climbing all over the back of Matt Neal's car. Gives him a little bit of a nerf down through the bottom of McIntyre.
Matt just used every part of the racetrack, and Rademacher pure frustration on his side.
Well, the back of Matt's car is going to be bruised and battered at the end of this. It's been hit so many times this afternoon. This guy's car, not a mark on it. Gabriele Tarquini through the hairpin for the last time, up and over the hill to take the checkered flag. What a drive.
And what a great win for the Jazz team. That's the Italian Honda factory team.
Are they pleased or what? Well driven, Gabriele. Here's Matt Neal, well driven for you as well. You're hanging on to that position. Rademacher having one last lunge. Can't do it though. Matt Neal is going to cover right to the end though. A race-long scrap between Rademacher and the Vauxhall. Matt Neal in the Nissan. Neal just holding on. Here's our race winner, Gabriele Tarquini, is what he mentioned. Driving for the Italian Honda team, as opposed to James and Tom Christensen, who drive for the UK Works Honda team. And there's the Class B winner, Alan Morrison. Good drive from him, had some frustration in race 1, but really made the power of this Peugeot stick in race 2. Great dices between Morrison and Mark Lemmer in the Honda Integra R in both races, but the Peugeot just seeing it off. And he sold off the whole field. This is Gabriele Tarquini, our Honda winner. Yeah, terrific stuff. Great drive from Tarquini. Remember, he was the pole man, and a good start is everything here. He made it stick. James Thompson, welcome back. Great result for James. Second place. Ricard Rydell in third, Reed in fourth, so you've still got two Fords in the top five, and Van Muller making the top five in the Vauxhall. Independent Matt Neal will be looking forward to a rest after his race-long dice with Rademacher, highly entertaining in sixth and seventh, and Morrison in the Class B actually makes the top 10.
It's unbelievable because I start from a rollover, 94, second 90 last year, yeah, last year, 99, and first this year, so good improvement. Car was fantastic, my tire was very good, and also the mechanic's job between the two races was really hard because we broke the front suspension.
Great for Tarquini then, but a good result too for James Thompson, a second place in his comeback meeting.
This weekend, Honda, you know, as a team, we've proved that that we're good enough to win races, and certainly a 1-2 is very, very competitive result, and we were, you know, comfortably the quickest cars in the race, and so I think you know, it just proves what a good car we have.
But the comeback kid's euphoria proved short-lived when his Honda failed a post-race ride height check, excluding him from the results. I guess that's motor racing. The drivers' points have a distinctly Ford feel to them, but boy, it's close. Alain Menu and Ricard Rydell are even Stevens on 79, with Reed just 2 points behind. Vauxhall's Van Muller keeps them honest with his 72, and Jason Plato's not out of touch either on 63. Tarquini is best of the Hondas with 52 points, while Vincent Rademacher heads Michelin Cup for Independence leader Matt Neal in 8th. Tom Christensen and Indy peddler Colin Blair complete the top 10. The Ford Hordes aren't doing too badly in the manufacturer's standings either. They're 226 points, putting them 64 ahead of Vauxhall, with Honda looking a lot more respectable now on 93. And in Class B, another maximum points haul for Alan Morrison keeps him in the driving seat. But Mark Lemmer's sprint race win after that fabulous dice with Morrison means that second place James Kay has to do a little bit of looking over his shoulder. The teams head back to England and Alton Park next. Will Honda's renaissance continue south of the border?